not just your gut. It's your whole body. It's your brain. Your whole body gets diminished in its ability to repair itself when you are busy digesting food right before bed. For me, intermittent fasting is that. It's not like, oh no, I'll gain a pound or I don't, that doesn't even cross my mind. I want to feel amazing tomorrow, and it feels more loving to my body to let it fully repair during sleep.
If you are struggling with binge eating, gut issues, wondering how to lower your inflammation, or just want to build really good muscle, today's episode is definitely for you. I don't even know where to begin because today we have Tara Garrison. She's on the show today. She's the founder of Higher. She's a health and life coach. She offers training, nutrition, mindset, and biohacking coaching. She has helped many celebrities, professional athletes, and top executives optimize their health. Tara is the author of Short-Term Keto, host of the Inside Out Health podcast, creator of Higher Retreats, and producer of the Coach Tara app. She is a mom of 4 living in Hawaii, and it was such a pleasure to have her on because, again, like I said, we cover so many different things all about gut health, intuitive eating, how to get out of that binge eating cycle. We talk about the carnivore diet and how it can help lower inflammation and if it's a good fit for you or it may not because there are mixed reviews. And Tara is not on one side or the other. I love that we take an approach designed for each individual and just not put a blanket statement on everything. So definitely listen to the very end because it is fire throughout the entire episode. Now, let's get into it. I did want to give a shout out to podcast listener Doesn't Load Pics. That's their actual name there. And they gave this podcast 5 stars. Quote, coming from someone who's a health enthusiast and nutritionist and worked in the natural food industry for 10 plus years, I can say this podcast delivers great information on relevant and important topics. The coverage is pretty in-depth, especially considering the time frame of the podcast. Bethany does a great job of providing scientific study insights and asks her guests, speakers, great questions. I just finished an episode where she asked her speaker questions about certain food products, and the speaker's response actually went against her beliefs. So I knew this because I've followed her for years. I thought that was very refreshing and shows that she's genuinely interested in always learning more and not afraid or resistant to opposing views. That's how I am too. You don't know what you don't know. And it's an absolutely crucial mindset to have in regards to the science. Thank you so much, Doesn't Load Pics, for that review and for supporting the show. And if you haven't done so already, giving this show a 5-star rating and putting out a review really just helps the show grow, and it's a free way to support. And so I truly appreciate it. And I'm always grateful for everyone that listens and shares the podcast with their friends and family. So just wanted to say thank you, and let's get into the episode. Thank you so much, Tara, for coming on the show today. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to start off how I always do now with some rapid fire yes or no questions just to pique the audience and listeners' engagement. So you can only answer yes or no. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Okay.
Ready.
Can solely changing your mindset change your hormones for the good or bad?
Yes.
Ooh, I like that. Okay. Can self-hatred cause your body to not thrive?
Yes.
Can you gain strength without lifting weights?
Yes.
Can you lose weight without counting calories?
Yes.
Okay, and last one. Can going to bed early change your entire life?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I can't wait to dive deeper into this now. So before we kind of get started, now you lost 40 pounds by doing what?
Lifting weights, changing my nutrition. That pretty much sums it up.
Yeah, pretty simple, right? It's always like you hear that a lot. Well, I started exercising and I changed my diet. But I want to go into exactly maybe some misconceptions about, because there's a lot of women listening. So misconceptions that women have about losing weight as more of a broad spectrum, and then kind of more narrow, the fear of gaining too much muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Acute high-level exposure to fluoride can lead to abdominal pain, nausea, vomiting, and even muscle spasms. So thankfully, this new fluoride replacement ingredient is just as effective for dental hygiene and much safer. So what is this new ingredient? It's called hydroxyapatite, and it's the perfect replacement for fluoride and completely non-toxic. It's the active ingredient in Bite toothpaste non-toxic bits. And well, unlike fluoride, the hydroxyapatite works by remineralizing enamel from within, reaching the innermost part of a dental cavity, and binds to plaque and harmful bacteria in our mouth. So, if you're brushing your teeth daily, and I really hope you are, that is a lot of exposure to chemicals that could potentially accumulate and take toll on your health if you are using a toothpaste with fluoride. Now, Bite toothpaste bits, these are what I highly recommend, and they've actually been in my household for like over 2 years now. My husband and I love brushing our teeth with them. We use their fluoride-free tablets. We also love their mouthwash, which is, they're super convenient for traveling and just to keep in your purse just for a quick mouth refresher. Now, Bite also has a natural teeth whitening kit. So they have a full line of non-toxic products that I would highly suggest you guys check out for better oral health. And if you've been looking for a natural toothpaste without the paste, try Bite toothpaste tablets. Again, I cannot recommend these more highly. They come in glass jars too, which is really cool. So they're helping reduce plastic waste for the planet. So this is just all around really cool company. It's definitely worth a try. And if you, for whatever reason, don't like them, you can just cancel any time. So if you want to get 20% off your first order, just go to trybite.com/digest or use code DIGEST at checkout to claim this deal. That's trybite.com/digest and use code DIGEST at checkout. Okay, you guys, listen up. If you have the following symptoms such as constipation or diarrhea, anxiety, sugar or alcohol cravings, poor immune system, compulsive or disordered eating, low muscle mass, poor wound healing, slow recovery after workouts, heartburn or acid reflux, or digestive issues like colitis, IBS, diverticulitis, Crohn's, celiac disease, or symptoms from food sensitivities, taking L-glutamine could be beneficial. L-glutamine is one of the most important nutrients for a healthy digestive tract because of its ability to maintain the integrity of the intestinal wall. This amino acid, which is the most abundant amino acid in our body, helps heal all human tissues, especially those irritated tissues in the digestive tract. It's also been known as the calming amino acid since it's very effective at reducing anxiety, as well as sugar and alcohol cravings. Even progressive addiction treatment centers will use it to help reduce cravings. Plus, get this, you guys, in a 2011 study published in the Yonsei Medical Journal found that glutamine supports the immune system, and it's especially beneficial for patients in the hospital and those fighting viruses or overwhelming infections. Your entire immune system is protected from the toxic environment by your gut barrier. And if that barrier gets damaged, you will get sick and create an overactive immune system, producing inflammation throughout the body. Thankfully, a damaged gut lining can be reversed and can be accomplished by getting enough gut healing nutrients such as L-glutamine. Clinically, medical professionals have found this to be true with their clients, and I myself have experienced the benefits. That's why I created my very own L-glutamine powder under Bethany's Pantry. This powder is pure without any additives, fillers, flavorings, gums, or unnecessary ingredients. The ingredients are literally just one: L-glutamine. It's vegan, paleo, keto, and tasteless. So you can literally just add it to a glass of water, stir for 5 seconds, and sip without tasting anything. This amino acid also works well in smoothies, mixed in yogurt. I've even added it to my guacamole. It dissolves instantly and you can't even tell it's there. And your body will thank you from all the benefits you're giving it to fully heal in the area you need healing, or just boosting your immune system in prep for the upcoming flu season. Guys, I am so proud to finally offer a clean L-glutamine powder I can fully recommend. If you want a bag, just go to nuzest-usa.com/Bethany's Pantry, where you'll find this plus all my other Bethany's Pantry items. Again, go to nuzest-usa.com/Bethany's Pantry. That's nuzest-usa.com/Bethany's Pantry. I'll also leave that link in today's show notes. So what are some common misconceptions that women have around that?
A big one, and early on with clients, I still get this all the time, and it's the idea that it's all about burning calories. So they come into, maybe they've, perused social media and they've seen people like me and they're like, okay, this chick's saying that she like lifts weights and apparently now she says she eats whatever she wants, which has some caveats, right? But and so I'll try it. I'll try this whole lifting weights thing. And then they'll come in and they'll be like, I burned this many calories yesterday. Or, I worked out for 2 hours. So how do I modify my calories? And I'm like, whoa. So the whole mentality is like loss and deprivation. And while, yeah, if you're eating a huge caloric excess, are your calories going to shift technically if you're going to lose weight? Yeah, but that's not the way to be thinking. The way to be thinking is when I go into the gym, the reason the gym is so freaking magical, the reason lifting weights, which as we already established, there's other ways you can do this. And here in Hawaii is like really wonderful for that because people come up to me, they're, oh, do you surf? Do you mountain bike? Do you windsurf? Like, what do you do? That's like the last thing on their mind is that I would go to a gym and lift weights, right? So there's lots of other ways. You should see surfers' upper bodies. Holy smokes. They've got
Incredible.
lats for days and shoulders and they're in great shape from surfing, so
Yeah.
anyway, we'll get there. But the thing is like you go into, if you're going to embark in a weightlifting journey, you are in there to create a stimulus through that lifting to create a need for your body to adapt. So it's not about, that's why, like, I used to hate lifting weights too. I was the typical marathon runner, just go, 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 go. Heart rate's got to be through the roof. I got to burn calories, all that. That's when I couldn't lose weight. That's when it wasn't working. So when I shifted into, I have got to create a stimulus for my body to need to adapt. I've got to hit a certain intensity level in these lifting sessions that my body's going to go, whoa, we need to get stronger. We need to rebuild this. Then when I ate food, it was, okay, well, what helps me rebuild muscle? Healthy proteins, healthy carbs. I need some fats too, so my sex hormones don't get all out of whack. And so when you start eating and training in a way to build muscle, what happens is you're going to start releasing a lot more growth hormone. And I like to tell women, like, you want growth hormone. You don't need to take growth hormone. I don't recommend taking growth hormone. Okay. You create your own growth hormone through your lifestyle. And if you want the magic pill, the little fat burner from the infomercial, it's growth hormone that you make yourself through lifting weights, eating plenty of healthy proteins, not too much, because I know you're a gut person. I know you've been seeing that, because I have too. And eating healthy, and then sleeping. About between 70 and 75% of your growth hormone is released during sleep. So we can get all into that stuff, because then we have women like driving themselves into the ground. They're not getting enough sleep at night. Then they're like pushing themselves to, burn all these calories. And yeah, I'm going to lift weights, but I'm also going to run 30 minutes as fast as I can. And then I'm going to go all day, and I'm going to pump caffeine, and I'm going to, serve and stay up too late, because now I'm scrolling my phone because I finally have a minute to relax, and repeat, and that's not conducive to healthy metabolism, all of that. But that's the big thing, is I see like a lack of understanding that really if you can just focus on creating a stimulus to make more muscle in your body, which has to come through intensive enough reps, right? Your nervous system needs to engage. It's got to suck a little bit, and then come into recovery and eat to support muscle. Everything starts to, and then let your body come down, have boundaries. You deserve downtime. Go to bed early. Go to bed early. Go to bed early. Go to bed early. Go to bed. Okay. Let yourself get sufficient sleep duration, because you're more likely to get the sleep cycles you need if you sleep long enough, and repeat, So that's the thing, is like, man, I was overweight my whole life. I was the chubby kid in third grade. You know what I'm saying? There weren't a lot of chubby kids in third grade. I was, and like my whole life, it was always hard. And now it's easy. I don't mean to be annoying. I'm trying to say that in like a homey, solid kind of way, letting you know it was always hard, and now it's easy. And that came through everything I just described. And we can get into more.
I love that. And yes, I do want to say too, because what you're saying is that more intensity, not as long. Because I feel like people are like, I have to spend like an hour plus in the gym, where I know from experience and from knowing others, sometimes it only takes 20 minutes a day. And I mean, I'm sure you probably work out more, but like if it's like intense, that stimulates a lot in 20 minutes, depending on what you're doing.
Now, I'm going to be really real on that. When you're first starting to lift weights, you can be in the gym for a minute because you don't know what you're doing. You're going to be like, I often like to start people on like 15 reps, 50, okay, especially women who have never lifted. At least in their first month's training, we might start the first week 10, 12, 15, and then back off to like 4 sets of 10 and try to go heavier. But that 15 rep range, a lot of times people don't even, especially people who don't have experience lifting, they don't even find it until like rep 8 or 9, right? It's just like, what is this? I don't know oh, there it is. And I'm done. So you got like 2 quality reps, right? So sometimes I'm not saying do 15 reps and go lightweight and be easy. I'm saying, your weight might be light, but it shouldn't feel light to you. Okay. So I don't care if you're doing an 8-pound weight. If at the end of those 15 reps, you're like shaking and you're like, oh my gosh, that's intense. Right. And so, yeah, the thing is like, when you're first starting, it's just, you have a lot to learn. You might be watching videos, you might be using an app, you might, it takes a little longer. But yeah, when you get more advanced, like my total gym time, to be honest, really honest, like I really looked at it, is usually, quite frankly, like 2 hours. But hear me out. My lifting time is probably 30 minutes. Max, maybe 40 on a really long day. And probably because I stopped and started talking to somebody. Okay. Uh-huh. So the reason I'm in there so long is because for me personally, I have worked walking into my workflow. So I walk for an hour on the treadmill most days. Some days I don't have time. And you better bet you, just like you just said, if I only have 20 minutes, I'm going to walk more intensely that day. So what I lack in duration, I make up for intensity. But usually I'm just walking at a comfortable pace, uphill. I push it a little bit, and I'm working on my phone. That is like a workflow hack. It's kind of like Steve Jobs-ish. I'm getting dopamine and all these neurotransmitters. So I have quick executive function, quick thinking, I can make decisions. And so that's most of my gym time is that walking. And then I lift for maybe 30 minutes. And then maybe I talk to somebody. Maybe I had to pee a couple times. Maybe I made some social media content. But The
Right, right.
actual intense stuff is like maybe 30, 40 minutes max.
Yeah, and I love you that you mentioned walking because that's exactly I don't go to the gym necessarily anymore. I do more like outside home stuff. But that I would do that too. I would actually work on my phone while I was walking. And not to say that everyone should be doing that, but just trying to utilize your time. Everyone has a different schedule. But how can someone with gut issues in particularly exercise in a way that's not going to upset their digestion? Because so many, myself included, I've noticed certain exercises actually put me into like I hate to say fight and flight mode because that's really what happens. That's really what happens with everyone, right? But for some people, when they get into that fight and flight mode, it can take sometimes days to get out of that fight and flight mode, and then you can't digest. So my question is, how can someone exercise or do something without turning that on necessarily? Maybe it's Pilates or yoga or something where they're getting some sort of strength building, but it's not going to put them in a flare up. Does that make sense?
hmm Well, you have two paths that I see. One is you could do that whole route, just yoga, Pilates. You can get strong from those things, right? If you're going to lift weights, you're going to go in fight or flight mode. That's the whole point. Like you are going, but I see it differently. I understand that when somebody has poor gut health, typically they've lost some of the tone or the functionality of their vagus nerve. And so it can be hard to switch in between fight or flight mode and parasympathetic. I mean, I think those of us who work with the gut is like, if you had to sum it up, that would be it. You have a hard time going between fight or flight mode and parasympathetic, your rest and digest mode.
Mhm.
But I go more in the approach of let's increase the tone of the vagus nerve and train you to be able to do that more easily. And so a few strategies I personally use for that. One of these I've mainly, I mean, so I intermittent fast. Okay. Intermittent fasting, you want to get a charged topic right now in nutrition. Let's talk intermittent fasting. I'm not a dogmatic person. I do not think everything's a one size fits all. I'm not like, I understand that there are many nuances in many different people's physiology. But one of the doctors that I work with in my stool testing stuff, he's 71. He has multiple health centers. He's worked with thousands of people. He's on the cutting edge. And he is just really, he's kind of become a mentor to me. And he's like, we got to have him intermittent fasting. Look at all the research on intermittent fasting for gut health, right? And so when I get somebody with poor gut health, if their adrenals are also messed up and they're like really pushing the edge of like over stress, I won't have them intermittent fast in the morning. Maybe I'm like, just eat whenever you get hungry, but please stop eating a few hours, 2 to 3 hours before bed. If they can handle fasted workouts, I like that for somebody who's having gut issues because I don't want a bunch of food in their stomach and then send them into fight or flight mode, right? And so if they can handle it, I have them train fast and make sure they get plenty of electrolytes, water, salt. Caffeine is the whole nother conversation. Some people do great, some people do not. You kind of know. But if
Yeah.
you don't know, there's lots of tests you can do to find out. But anyway, once they're in that state, I prefer to have them proactively bring themselves back into the parasympathetic. So breathing is the most age-old way to do that. So I often do this because I can feel myself. I'm like shaking. My adrenaline's like through the roof when I'm done with a really intense lifting session. And I will just literally lay down on the floor in the gym. I put some of my like spiritual music on. So it's like super slow. And I just start breathing into my diaphragm really slow. And I'm just like letting every inch of my body relax. And I just keep breathing like that deep. It's like, I think of 360-degree breathing. Like I'm going to like breathe into my back ribs, right? That kind of under
The
your
belly
ribs is where your
breathing.
diaphragm. Yeah.
Mhm.
And beyond belly, also you're using your diaphragm muscles underneath your ribs here. So it's like expanding your rib cage. And
I can see everyone listening right now doing that right
yeah,
now.
try it because you'll it really do because right now, like keep
Yeah.
your mouth closed, only in and out of your nose, and like try to think you're 360 degrees, expanding your rib cage, big, 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 big. And then make sure you keep your mouth closed and then just let it fall gently. You don't have to force, just let go. And then breathe in, big, 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 and then let go. And you can do that at any time to get deeper into your parasympathetic, right?
Yeah.
And then it's a matter of, okay, what does my post gym time look like? Do I like grab a coffee and I'm go, 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 go? Yeah, you're going to have a hard time coming out of that, you know? And
Well,
so
so often people are going to the gym or working out at home even, and their schedule is so jam packed where there's like, okay, now it's time I got to go to a meeting. I got to pick up the kids. And then they don't have that time to switch. And then immediately after a workout, which I want to go into, a lot of people chug a protein shake or eat a meal, and that actually setting them up for disaster.
you know what? I heard Ben Pakulski say this one time. Ben like used to be like top 5 bodybuilder, Olympia, like one of those gigantic humans, right? But he was always known as the intelligent bodybuilder. He has a podcast called Muscle Intelligence. I like Ben. Ben said this one time. I heard him say this years ago. I heard him say this years ago, really before there were all that many gut specialists and all that stuff. And I was just like, yes, Ben, because he said, I like to wait until my body gets actually hungry after a workout so that I know that I'm now out of fight or flight mode and I can actually digest. And I was like, yes,
Yes.
common sense. Common sense, you know?
Yes.
So to hear somebody like that, because usually those are the dudes you see like they're
Mhm.
walking out of the gym and they're shoveling rice and chicken into their mouth, you know?
Girl, I've seen people in between reps eating. Okay. It is ridiculous.
Oh my God. Yeah. So anyway, let your body come down, but also like there are little things you can do, right? Like sometimes, yeah, I'm a mom. I'm a single mom. I have 4 kids. I run a business. I have clients. I've got social media presence. I got a podcast. I got blah, 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 blah. You feel me?
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm like immune to stress or something, but I have learned breathing is the ultimate, immediate ticket to getting deeper. But there's other things too, is like, how are you engaging with life? I'm a meditator. I just got done meditating this morning. It's when you learn how to release the mind and come into your breath and be like stoic, be calm in the center of any storm. It doesn't really matter what the external things in your life are. It's more about how you are engaging with it. So yeah, I lived many years of my life where it's like, boom, boom, go, 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 call somebody. Blah, 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 blah. I'm shocked I didn't get gut issues, to be honest with you, because I went through some pretty severe traumas too. So I don't know how that happened. I think I just got some really friendly microbes helping me out or
Good
something. But
probiotics.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, but now I choose to um have practices in my life, right? Like I wake up slow. I've been up since like, I've been up for 2 hours now.
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up slow. I put some incense on. I meditate. I have a personal development practice. I take my time. Then I go into the gym and I freaking hit it. And then I come down, down, down. I very rarely go anywhere in the evenings. I think that's very not conducive to health. I mean, sometimes I will if it's worth it, but you're not going to see me going to Target at 7 o'clock at night and blasting myself with all of that stimulation. So like a steward over my parasympathetic. I'm
I
like,
love it.
let myself come down.
I get asked all the time on my Instagram if you can take too much sodium, if that's like even a thing. And well, before I tell you the link between low sodium levels and stress, I also want to tell you that the reason I went into a coma back in 2018 was due to low sodium levels. In fact, when they checked my sodium levels in the emergency room, they were off the charts low. And this is just one reason I take electrolytes every single day. And yes, I even salt my smoothies and every single meal. But low sodium levels and electrolytes can also cause a number of other factors, including stress. Cortisol is a hormone released during times of stress that affects nearly every process, including our mental state in the body. Now, high cortisol, in fact, has been linked to depression, fatigue, and stress in both men and women. So, where does sodium come in? When someone is sodium deficient, their cortisol levels go way up. Now, that's bad news for your mood. In addition, sodium deficiency triggers your adrenal cortex to start pumping out aldosterone. Now, aldosterone tells your kidneys to retain sodium. This is a useful survival mechanism, but it's not good for long-term well-being. And high aldosterone not only raises blood pressure, but it's also been linked to clinical depression. This again is just one reason why we all need to make sure our sodium levels are at their peak. The confusion of too much sodium in the body comes from the type of sodium. Refined iodized salt is what we should be staying away from. Now, if you really want to boost your mood in the right direction, listen to this, you guys. Studies suggest that magnesium status is closely linked to anxiety. And when someone is nervous, they excrete more magnesium in their urine, causing magnesium levels to drop. Additionally, on a population level, dietary magnesium intake is negatively correlated with anxiety. And clinical data also indicates that magnesium supplementation can have a relaxative effect. Along with anxiety, magnesium supplementation may also reduce depressive symptoms. LMNT provides not only sodium and magnesium, but also potassium, which is helpful in blood sugar regulation, kidney health, and bone density. And the exact ratio LMNT puts in each of their electrolyte packs is science-backed, resulting in the exact amount we need. Adding electrolytes into your diet is a great way to replenish and rebalance your body, mind, and mood. However, most electrolyte drink mixes contain added gums, sugars, colors, and even added oils, among many other unnecessary ingredients. I am really picky about what goes into my body, so that's why I choose LMNT's raw, unflavored electrolyte mix. LMNT's unflavored version contains a science-backed electrolyte ratio of salt, magnesium, and potassium. That's it. Just those 3 simple ingredients are in their raw, unflavored packs. Sometimes I like adding a squeeze of grapefruit or lemon for a burst of flavor, or simply just drink plain. And you can add more or less water depending on your personal taste preference. So whether you just finished a workout, sauna session, or just need to hydrate for your mental health, LMNT is formulated to help anyone with their electrolyte needs and is perfectly suited for those following a keto, low-carb, vegan, or paleo diet. And right now, LMNT is offering my listeners a free sample pack with any purchase. That's 8 single-serving packets free with any LMNT order. So get 8 free packs, but you must go to drinklmnt.com/digest to get this offer. That's drinklmnt.com/digest. LMNT also has a no questions asked refund policy. So if you try it and you just don't like it, it's not for you, you don't have to buy it. You can get your money back risk-free, and you don't even have to send back the packs. You can just give them to a friend or family member or neighbor and then be on your way. So you really have nothing to lose. So again, just go to drinklmnt.com/digest to get this amazing offer. I completely agree with you as far as, well, a lot of what you said, I want to go back into that too, but just at night, because really, I mean, if you can only train at night or do something at night, then, I feel like better than nothing, right? But if you have to do some stuff late at night or running errands or doing this or even like stuff on the computer, I mean, it's going to set you up for this cycle of not sleeping, and then you're going to want to sleep in more because you didn't get sleep the night before. And to me, I want a good night's sleep. And so to rev up your brain at night, even like you said, running to Target at night is like, okay, now you're up again and you just got this boost of energy and then you can't wind down.
And I really like your point. I just want to say, like, I'm not living in a bubble where I think that everybody like can currently right now do all these things. Like my sister, single mom, she's a teacher. She's got to take her kids to all their different things. Like I get it, I have to, but it's just I'm like just trying to let people know if you can work towards healthy circadian rhythm, if you can start thinking, like when and how can I make those shifts in my life so that I can, or if sometimes it's optional, you're just blasting the TV, you're blasting social media. That is optional. That is optional. Running a lot of errands. I used to think, I got to get this stuff and blah, and I'm so busy. I'm working all day and my kids are home from school and they need stuff. And blah. I've just rearranged. I've learned to just let go of like, we'll live. We can figure out something to eat here. We don't need to do all that. Like a lot of it was unnecessary busy at night. And that's the stuff that I think can be acted on now. And you can really start looking, okay, how do I want to play this? How do I want to set up my evenings? What can I let go of? And if I am, working out at night because that's all I got, dude, no stress. I don't mean to like, send anybody into
Totally.
fear or something. It's all good. It's just letting you know I've done all those. I did get in shape working out at night. Okay. So it does quote unquote work. It's just I wasn't going to bed till like 1 or 2 in the morning and I was stressed out of my mind. And like, I'm just letting you know if you can get to a place where you can shift into a healthier circadian rhythm flow, things get easier, is all I'm saying.
Yes, yes. And now I want to go back into intermittent fasting for a second,
Yeah.
especially for gut health, because I 1000% agree with you. And I know there's some mixed feelings across the spectrum here, even with health enthusiasts. But for me personally, and I have done a lot of research too, there's studies that show intermittent fasting helps tremendously for gut health. And I'd love for you to elaborate on that as well as the keto diet, because there's also some mixed feelings about that.
Yeah. Okay, sure. You know what? I'll kick this off with a little process I took a client through. She had really bad SIBO, methane SIBO, was working with a naturopath. Naturopath's like, freak, I can't, like, honestly cannot figure out how to help you. Like, it's not working. And sent her to a specialist. She hit me up. She was like, will you help me? And this kind of transitions, actually, this is going to be real controversial. Okay, you ready for this? I was like, listen, like this has been it had been going on for over a year. She's on all these different supplements, low FODMAP, like all this stuff. And I was like, listen, this is a little experimental, but what I'm feeling is possibly taking you through a phase of the carnivore diet just to get the inflammation down. It is like a forest fire in there. So she did that. We got rid of all the methane. It only took like, how long was that? Like 4 months, something like that. And then it went into this like slow reintroduction of fibers, this very, careful process. But things were going really well. And then she hit some life stress. She's been working with me a long time. She hit some life stress and stuff started picking back up again. Okay. And I had her on a call. She's willing to be a little woo-woo with me, which I appreciate. And I was like, put your hand on your gut. And I want you to pretend that you can see inside your gut microbiome. And I want you to just ask them. First, I just want, I was like, I just want you to see it. Just play with me. Let's play for pretend. Okay. But just tap in. Like, what do you see? And then I want you to ask them what they need. So at the end of this, she told me that she saw a, like, end of the world type chaos of people moving stuff, these little, they're moving stuff around and they're trying to patch stuff up and they're just, it's just chaos. And she said that they said, can we please have a break? Can we please have a break? If you can just take a break from eating for a little bit longer, we can do so much more repair here. And she's like, ugh. She's like, I've been feeling like I need to fast, but I've been really resistant to it because anybody who's been on a gut crazy journey with SIBO and all these different things, like, that like you start to feel restricted and you go into these pity parties that are totally understandable. Like, how come everyone else can eat normal and not me? And like, so she was fearful of getting into a fast, like a 24-hour fast is what she felt intuitively to do. that it might trigger all these, bingy type things that she'd had in the past. But I was like, well, is this coming from a place of wanting to be skinny and starve yourself, or is this coming out of love for your own body of what they just asked you? Anchor into that love. Do it out of love, And she did, and that was the tipping point. Now she's starting to intermittent fast, and things are turning back around. And I knew this got triggered because she was working late at night, and she told me, she's like, I either have to eat kind of early or I have to eat late when I get home. And I was like, I'm really concerned about that eating late right before bed thing with you, because she can be finicky like this. And she did it, and so now she's turned it back around. She made a break in her schedule for herself so she can have dinner. She's like, I can't go back into that place. So I'm sharing that story because to me, that's how I see intermittent fasting for gut health. Your gut needs time to repair. It so needs time to repair. And when we live in this food abundant world where any second, literally almost at any second, unless you're in the middle of a meeting, you can be eating. And what about when life stress hits or whatever? It's just, if you can have a predictable break, especially before bed. I honestly really don't care how early people eat personally, for the most part, except maybe right before going into fight or flight mode on purpose for people with gut health might be a little bit not super optimal. I don't know about that. I don't know of any research on that. That's just me thinking logically. I don't know if that would be the best idea. But just at least cutting off eating 2 to 3 hours before bed. So, because that's when most of the repair happens in our body. So if you can go into that with not sitting there with food in your stomach, trying to go, your body's like, well, okay, I guess we'll just digest this versus repairing as much as we could, So
Right.
that's all. Like it's just giving your gut a break so it can go through its repair processes.
Yeah. And I love what you said about intentions, because I feel like so many, especially women, they think, oh, fasting, that automatically puts their brain into like diet mode, right? Oh, it's fasting, it's restricting, it's okay. Yes, you're not eating, or maybe you're just drinking or whatever. But there's so many misconceptions now, because they think fasting is just like, oh, this is just another diet fad, where really, if you look at our ancestors, and so long ago, they unintentionally intermittent fasted because they just ate when they could find food. And it was like a natural thing that they did. Hey, did we have dinner at 3 p.m. yesterday? Yeah, because that's when dinner was. And then we didn't eat until the next day or whatever.
Yeah, I will say I've been intermittent fasting for a long time. Like since I got off keto, I got off keto in 2018. I did keto for all of 2017. And then about spring of 2018, I started bringing carbs back in. And I just thought it was smart to shift into intermittent fasting after that, to kind of maintain that metabolic flexibility of what you just described, like allowing my body to know what to do when there's not incoming food all the time. And I've been intermittent fasting ever since. Every once in a while, I'll go out of it. I'm not, crazy about it. It doesn't rule my life or anything, but for the grand majority of the time, I am intermittent fasting only purely out of love. It has nothing to do with being skinny or body composition or anything. It's just, I have learned, like let's say I stay up late one night. I like to go to the ecstatic dances here in Hawaii. So sometimes that keeps me up later than normal, because last night I went to bed at 8:30. That's pretty typical. Like asleep at 8:30. That's pretty typical for me. So if I'm up till 11:30, I'll start to feel hungry again, because I'm just up so much later than I normally am, right? And I'll be driving home, and my thought process is this, like, man, I'm kind of hungry right now. And I'm like, nah, because like I know how I'll feel when I wake up. I'll just feel so much better if I just go to bed right now and let my body recover. Because it's not just your gut, it's your whole body, it's your brain. Your whole body gets diminished in its ability to repair itself when you are busy digesting food right before bed. Right? Our brain also does a cleanse. All right. I want my body. So for me, intermittent fasting is that. It's not like, oh no, I'll gain a pound, or I don't, that doesn't even cross my mind. I want to feel amazing tomorrow, and it feels more loving to my body to let it fully repair during sleep.
No, I completely agree. And knowing that, okay, I can eat tomorrow. Like, this isn't, you know what I mean? There's going to be food in my fridge tomorrow. It's going to be fine. And I feel like there's this huge connection between intermittent fasting and intuitive eating, because before I even knew what intermittent fasting was, or before it was even really a thing, I think I was doing it, but because I was intuitively eating. So looking back, and I was like, I think I was intermittent fasting, but only because I was just kind of waiting until I was hungry.
Exactly. Exactly. You were tapped into yourself. And this is like the most optimal way to navigate a health journey is by being tapped into your own body. I talk
Yeah.
about this a lot. It's just like there's so many opinions out there. We have opinions. We're just sharing, but I hope that you guys listening can feel like we're just sharing our experiences, what we've seen with people, perspectives, but it doesn't trump what you feel for you. It never trumps that. And the more you can practice being tapped into yourself and noticing, becoming aware, like, if I eat late at night, how do I feel the next day? Not just in my stomach, but how do I feel overall in my energy levels? If I go to bed at different times and wake up at different times, how does my life flow end up feeling? If I lift weights consistently for a while and then I let that go and I just walk and do yoga, how does that feel to me? Right? Those things that's everything in terms of food, like that's 100% how I eat now. Now, I have learned, I did track food for a little while when I was learning, and it was helpful for me. I had no idea what the components of my food were. I was eating standard American diet. I was
Mhm.
eating Wendy's and Taco Bell and McDonald's and making cookies with Crisco. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that was the lifestyle I was living. I was completely out of touch with like what was in my food. Right. And so tracking for me was super eye opening and very helpful. I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. I started to notice how my brain felt, how my mental health felt when I had more protein. For me, I started noticing for me when I ate more cruciferous vegetables, I felt good, and now I've done, and not, people who got issues are probably like, whoa, what? No, what'd you say? But now I've done testing and found out like I have a slow COMT, which can cause you to metabolize estrogen slower, and cruciferous vegetables can help with that, right? And
Mhm.
so it's interesting to find this testing stuff that I already knew intuitively. And I see that all the time. I see it all the time, especially women are a little more prone, I've found, to be in touch with their own selves and what they need and what they feel for their bodies. And I just can't encourage people to honor that enough and just have that awareness, right? Like meditation helps, but be the observer of like how you are feeling, what results you are getting as a result of the choices you are making in a really neutral energy, not a judgmental energy of, oh, I shouldn't have binged on all those brownies last night. Dang it. It's interesting. I wonder what led into that and like how do I feel now? And this really
Right.
neutral observer energy. And you can navigate your health in such a beautiful way yourself, quite
Right.
frankly, the more practiced you become at that.
Yeah. Well, and I love that too, because so many, I'm sure, can relate to maybe binge eating or overeating. And then you really have to tap into that, because you have to think, okay, last night when I ate the entire pan of brownies, did that really help fill the void? Like, what was, like you said, what was the intention behind that? Did it help? And I will say 100% of the time, I hate to say 100%, but 99.9% of the time, people will say, no, it didn't help, because it didn't help fill that void. Like it didn't do anything. It was like a second of just something, satisfaction, right?
Yeah. And the real work is like being safe with yourself, being kind to yourself, in the post processing of that. This is why people never get past it, is because they go into it. One place might be they might actually have conscious thoughts of, dude, I can't believe you did that. What's wrong with you? They might actually have those conscious thoughts. Then you have the suppressors who they don't really allow those conscious thoughts, but they can feel it in their body of like, they're just kind of like frustrated with themselves, like, oh, don't do that. It's this really harsh energy. And so in the post processing, I always tell my overeaters and my bingers and my drinkers and all of it, I'm like, You're going to do it again. So when, not if you do it again, next time. And they just kind of smile because they know, I'm like, I next time I want you to just be aware of what's going on with you internally before it happens. Are you saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that? Is there some big emotional stressor happening in your life? Did you stay up really late watching
Right.
TV and now you're just hungry again and this is all a pattern? And then in the post-processing, it's this really safe space. It's really say, hey, like give yourself a freaking hug. It's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. You ate the whole pan of brownies. Come here, come here. And people will fight this, right? They're like, it's not okay. I'm like, you just gotta like hug them until they like start crying. It's like that vibe, It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, it is okay. Come here. Okay, so when you went into it, what was going on there? And talk out loud to yourself. Start processing these things out loud. Like, I I don't know. I kept thinking about them all in the day, all night. Okay. You know, um, start talking to yourself, processing through, and then you can get to the point where you start to ask yourself, you become your own coach. You're like, okay, so next time, what would you like to do different? What would you like to try next time? Okay, I think next time I'm getting like that, one, I'm gonna stop telling myself I can't have brownies, but I'm gonna think of something else that might give me that fix that's a little healthier, like a chocolate peanut butter protein shake. I like those. Okay, let's
Mm-hmm.
try that out, Or maybe I'm gonna try going, I can't stay up that late, man. If I stay up till 11 watching TV, that's just gonna happen. Okay, cool. So what do you want to shift? Oh man, I got to start going to bed at 9. So
Mm-hmm.
this safe space, all I want to say is the safe space. If you're going through this, one, you are not alone, is like literally everybody I ever work with. So, and I was there for many years, is like create a safe, loving space where you can have a neutral energy so that you can actually start looking for solutions within yourself. So just had to make a note on that because it's
Oh,
such a huge, huge thing.
huge. And I mean, I had no idea, and for you to share that story personally as well as with your clients, that's amazing. And I'm sure so many people can relate. And I think a lot of it can come out of just boredom. And it's like, okay, well, maybe we should find something else to occupy my time. Maybe I should like paint my nails. Maybe I should, you know what I mean, do something to occupy that, because really I'm full, I'm feeling satisfied, I don't really need to eat an entire tub of ice cream, things like that. um
And it
now
goes deeper because it's that boredom thing is there's a lack of comfort with oneself.
mm,
So like, I have a group coaching thing called Level Up. I'm taking people through right now, and our whole first week was meditation. Second week was silence, getting them comfortable with being in silence. Then we did intuition. Now we're doing like presence. And the boredom eating, I'm like, you're not actually bored, in my opinion. You're not actually just bored. You're just uncomfortable with yourself. There's a lack of connection with yourself. And so you're not able to navigate like, what do I want to do? How do I want my flow to go here? What sounds good to me? And like so much compassion on this, because like, especially for women, like what do I want and need? Like that hasn't really been part of the society program for very long. So it's if you find yourself boredom eating or stressing, like go deeper,
mhm.
and be so gentle and kind with yourself, so compassionate of like, hey, what's going on here? What actually sounds good to you to do tonight? Like for real though. What sounds soul stirring, these kind of deeper things. Cause I found with the boredom is like, well, what is boredom exactly? Because I like to go sit on my lanai here, my deck out here, and be bored, but I don't feel bored. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm
Mm,
very comfortable just being, right?
yeah.
And so when I see boredom eating, I see discomfort with being,
Mm,
and so it
wow.
goes deeper, but probably too
Yeah.
deep for a.
No, I mean, I love it. I love it. And I'm now I did make a note, and so not to like kind of rewind, but I think I do want to rewind just a little bit, because I want to talk about your client that went on the carnivore diet for a little bit, and you said it helped her lower her inflammation tremendously. Now, there's a lot of controversy about the carnivore diet. First of all, I want to ask, how long was she on the carnivore diet? And obviously, everyone would be different, but
I believe it was I'm not completely sure because I know that we tested, she did like her methane breath test.
Mhm.
We tested 3 months
Okay.
and I was like amping her up like crazy, like, please don't get discouraged if it doesn't go the way you want. Cause it's a little, and she still had some. And then we went, I think it was like maybe a month, but it could have been like 5 months. So somewhere in there, 3 to 5
Okay.
months. Okay. I feel like it was like 4. And then she lost all her symptoms. She felt amazing that she tested negative for, methane. And so I understand the arms up about carnivore. Okay.
Sure.
I'm also a little bit in that space, even as a ketogenic diet specialist. And I have concerns. I have concern, and I don't really like the dogma. I've actually, I mean, just being real with you guys, like I've had to unfollow most of my carnivore colleagues. These are people that I know in real life. I don't like some of the dogma that I'm seeing come out of that industry. I don't want to be in dogmatic thinking, so I don't want to be consuming dogmatic thinking.
Mhm.
um
No, I definitely, I feel like we're in an alignment because I think the carnivore diet can definitely help lower inflammation. I don't think it's a diet switch for the long term. I think it could put, potentially, or, help in just a short period of time to lessen that inflammation and then slowly bring back, other foods.
It's definitely helping people. I mean, like, definitely, we have people with their autoimmune issues going into remission, gut issues being healed. I've used it maybe for 3 or 4 clients over the years for short stints when their guts are just so inflamed. It's just like the FODMAP thing and all this stuff. It's not working. They're not being consistent with it. It's just this prolonged nightmare, And so, especially when they notice if they eat any fibers at all, it is just sending them into 9 months pregnant, bloated, pain, have to take the day off of work. I'm just like, let's just get this done. And I think it's a really smart intervention because you're also going to be going into ketosis. And so you're upgrading your metabolism at the same time. You're training your body how to go into ketosis with the absence of food. You're getting this whole new energy source of ketones, which is going to feel really amazing for your brain. And so I think it's a really smart intervention. This is the part that like concerns me. And Karan from Microbiome, well, he just sold Microbiome Labs. Karan Krishnan, microbiologist, Microbiome Labs was his company. And now
Okay.
and I think he's exited out of that and got another one. But I heard him talking about this on a podcast once, and I really loved his perspective. And he's like, well, when you go through a phase of carnivore, when you've had all this dysfunction, like you have metabolic dysfunction, right? And you go through a phase of carnivore, it can be healing to die down some of those overgrowth, all the inflammation, that actually can be healing to your metabolism. But if you stay there, if you continue staying there forever, now you're decreasing the diversity. Now, this is going to be controversial too for any carnivore people listening, because I'm starting to hear carnivore people say that they've done gut tests and the diversity of their microbiome increased. I would like to actually see those tests. I want to see exactly what they mean by that, because I've had some carnivore people do stool tests with me and it is not diverse at all. And so I
Mhm.
would like to see what they're talking about and what they mean. I'm actually really curious, but so that I'm taking their word for it right now. I haven't actually seen any stool tests from people, but I'm hearing people start to say that my diversity went up, and I'm like scratching my head like, well, yeah, maybe you got some new bacteria that helped with breaking down proteins and meats, but like, what about the keystone strains, the really important strains? Like, let
Mhm.
me see those. Let me see your Akkermansia. Let me see your, all the balance of the important strains of bacteria is what I would like to see. Because at least from the Microbiome Labs docs that I'm doing consults with on people's stool tests, they're not a fan. They're not a fan of high protein diets in general, any of them. Because you start to see this fermentation of protein. You start to see the ammonia and the histamines and the gases being given off when people are too high protein for too long. And what I mean by too high, quote unquote, too high is too high for them right now. Right? Meaning they do not have the bacteria to break down that much protein. So anyway, carnivore, it's still something I will use when somebody is just so bad that we just can't find it any other way to get the inflammation down. But you have to, it's such a careful journey bringing carbs back in, bringing fibers back in. That needs to be done so gently. I actually honor my clients' intuition as we go through that process. So I start asking them which healthy fibers sound good to them. I have them ask their gut. Right. And then I'm like, but don't, like be loving, and loving is not going ham and slamming them with, 5 pans of broccoli. That's going to obviously be too much, And
Right.
so,
Well, for me, I know my own body, and all of us are different, right? So for me, fiber from vegetables just don't sit well. But I will say fruit fiber reacts differently in my body. So I can do tons of like fruit fiber, but the veggie fiber is completely different. As same thing with carbs, like carbs from fruit react differently from carbs from like starchy, like potatoes, or not to say that I don't eat them, but I can tell. So each person is completely different. And all that to say, talking about, fruit, you are a proponent of the keto diet. Correct?
yes,
Okay.
for a time, for the
For a
right
time.
person. Yeah.
Mm. So let's just say someone is on a keto diet for gut health, and now they're like, okay, my gut, I can see it like really improving. How would you start to implement carbs back into that person's life? Like what suggestions would you make?
First thing is, I would say check your other bases real quick. So you did it for gut health, and I have definitely seen the keto diet improve people's gut health. I've also seen people get worse gut health on keto diet. So not to be a confusing one, but just being
Interesting.
real with you guys,
Yeah.
Make sure your blood sugar regulation is good. So if you're currently on keto and you're waking up, and if you haven't tested your blood sugar or your ketones on keto, I would definitely do that to get one of those finger pricker ketone glucose combo meters. And so typically your blood sugar when you're on keto is when you wake up. I mean, if you've been keto for a minute, it's probably going to be in the high 70s, in the 70s somewhere, which is kind of low because you're making ketones. So when ketones are higher, your blood sugar will go lower. So if you're seeing that, or maybe it's like 80, low 80s, somewhere around there, and your blood sugar regulation is good, okay, cool. And your gut's doing great, everything's doing good, you're sleeping well, like you're just like everything's working well, my gut is feeling great, I'm going to start bringing some carbs back in. I would definitely recommend starting with some gentle carbohydrates, like you said, fruit. I find your experience really interesting, right? Because vegetables are going to be the most high fiber, low carb, right? And then fruit is going to be in the middle, and then those starchy like tubers are going to be. It depends on the food, I guess, but typically like more high carb, like less fiber than fruit, right? So, well, it depends on the fruit. But anyway, I would say start bringing in maybe fruits, start with some gentle fruits, things that speak to, you could try potatoes. Everyone is so different on this. I mean, I have some people and they're like, I started eating potatoes and I feel like I got my life back, and then you have other people that are like, those do not agree with me.
Yeah.
So, use your intuition and gently start slowly increasing carbs, decreasing fats, increasing carbs, decreasing fats. And when you've been keto, just one thing I have to say after many years of bringing people off of a ketogenic diet, when you are no longer keto, you are going to have to change your relationship with what you think a normal amount of fat to eat in a day is. Because if you start adding carbs on and you're still eating exorbitant amounts of fat, you are going to gain weight and decrease your metabolic health. You cannot continue eating 150 grams. I mean, you can, of course, but I would not recommend eating 150 grams of fat a day and all the carbs you want. You're going to like, quote unquote, I don't know, back up your system is like how I see it visually. It's an energy excess. So you're going to have to start Like you're gonna be like, wow, I feel like I'm eating low fat. You're gonna feel like you're eating low fat almost
Mm.
comparatively to when you were keto. Okay.
No, that's a great point.
So yeah, just be mindful of that. But you might want to track a little while just so you get the gist of what you're actually intaking. But just it's pretty simple. I wrote a book on this. It's called Short-Term Keto. It gives all of these things from gut health to neurotransmitters like serotonin and GABA and dopamine and how these interplay and like signs that maybe keto might be a need for you or why you might want to stop. What happens when we bring carbs back in? How do we train when we bring carbs back in? It's like that's the full bit. So that's shorttermketo.com if anybody wants to like go deeper on
Yeah.
this. But in a nutshell, once you feel like you're ready, and I have checklists in my books and of things to note, then you can just slowly start increasing carbs, slowly dropping fats.
No, those are
Gradual.
great. And yes, everyone should go check out that book, Short Term Keto. And we'll be sure to put that link in today's show notes so that you guys can easily find it as well. Now, I do want to go back to the initial question I asked you at the very beginning of the podcast, and that was about changing your mindset to change your hormones. So can you literally change your hormones by simply changing your mindset?
Absolutely. Like, think of this. So, neurotransmitters are like precursors to hormones. You can kind of look at it like that. They play with each other. Okay. So, if right now, you were just sitting there minding your own business and I grabbed your arm and took you through some doors and put you on a stage and there's 10,000 people, what would happen in you? You would start releasing adrenaline like crazy, right? Even if right now I said, hey, in 5 minutes, I want you to go stand naked in the street. Just the thought of it would make you start changing your physiology,
Mhm.
right? Your adrenaline would go up, and you would have physiological symptoms. So let's take a woman who I'm using women because I feel like there's a lot of women who listen to this. So let's take a woman who believes that she has a deep-seated belief that her worth is serving others and doing things for them. That is her whole entire worth. Actually, the thought of not serving and just being makes her feel extremely anxious. She's not comfortable with that, right? So when we can get deeper into a mindset shift of someone knowing their worth, I don't have to do any of these things. These are all bonus. I know that I'm worthy and lovable and safe, even if I do nothing at all, just like a tree, just like a flower. I can just be and know my worth. If you have a deep in the body shift on that through mindset work, guess who's going to stop driving themselves into thyroid dysfunction, adrenal dysfunction, chronic fight or flight, gut issues, sex hormone dysfunction, PCOS, all of it? I'm serious. And you think that's one example, but through your mindset, the way you are seeing your own worth, the way you're seeing your need to interact with life, you will change all of your thinking patterns and actual behavioral patterns so that your body can come into more calm and come into more balance. And yeah, it definitely has an impact on hormones. I see it happen in people because we do mindset work. I see how they shift and like their body comes back into harmony. There's
Okay.
physiological things we do too, but it's crucial. That's why I became a mindset coach. This right here, because I was like, if I can't turn off the fire hydrant because of the way they're thinking and engaging with life and they just keep recreating all these problems, I can't really help them.
Yep. No, the mind and body is so connected. And I mean, I've come across so many people too, and they're like, I was doing all the things, I was taking all the supplements for my hormones, X, Y, and Z, but they were so stressed. And they're like, the moment I like started to decrease my stress levels, my work load, whatever it was like, oh, great. My hormones gotten back in balance. I got pregnant, whatever.
Exactly. We're working our women into the ground and we're agreeing to it as women. And then you honestly have to go through a little bit of a spiritual journey, like some sort of soul healing journey to let go of all those programs and paradigms. It's deep work. That's what I'm saying. I can't even get into it. I'm trying to give tidbits, but when we start to understand that we don't have to do any of that stuff, we don't have to be anything, we don't have to prove anything, and we start feeling safe in our own bodies, our bodies come back into harmony. But that's our work. Only we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's so true. And I mean, yesterday I was talking to my husband yesterday and I was like, man, this month is just so busy with work, like extra busy than normal. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Like to what? To get sick and to not enjoy my life? Like, it's not even worth it. Like, why did I agree to all this? Like, it's not, like, I don't care if I get, like, whatever, a huge book deal or this TV appearance. Like, what did that do for my health? Did it just make me sick? It's not worth it.
And the honest answer to those questions set you free. And we all have, it's like cleaning your closet. We all have to do this at times. I have stuff start to build up too. And when you start to feel that build up of like, all right, this is too much. That question, why am I doing all this, is actually really, really juicy if you really dive into it. And then the second one is, okay, so what do I need to let go of? Like, what's not filling me here? How do I need to shift things? And sometimes you don't have to like throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just need to set some boundaries or let some things go. And we all have to do that continuously in our lives, just like our closets get full. Got to clean it
Yeah.
out a little bit.
Yeah. Man, I want to go so much more into this. I know we're short on time here, but I mean, is there anything else that you wanted to add before we leave? I mean, what would you say is the best? Actually, let me ask you this. What's the best advice someone else ever gave you?
Ooh. What immediately came to mind comes from Ram Dass. And I heard him say, "You are not your thoughts." And I knew I wasn't my body, but I did not know that I was not my thoughts. And I know it's kind of a little interesting one to leave on a health podcast, but I'd say sit with that a little bit. He talks about how you are, this comes a little bit from Buddhist philosophy, but there's a space behind your thoughts that is your consciousness. Try that out, play with it, because that, in terms of everything we've talked about here, going into that space, seeking that space of pure presence and just watching my mind as if it's just playing in front of me, or watching that it has set me into that place where I can be truly like stoic or calm and be the observer of my life and navigate things in such a healthier way for me. So a little weird, but you are not your thoughts. Try it out.
Mm,
See what's
thank
behind
you.
there. Yeah.
Thank you, Tara. And now, where can people find you? Social media, website, give us all the links here.
I'm Coach Tara Garrison, Tara, on everything. My most commonly used platforms are Facebook is really big right now. I love my Facebook people. Instagram and TikTok. And then my website is taragarrison.com. And check out my retreats on there. Just going to make a quick little plug. I got one in Sedona coming up that is going to be so sick. I cannot wait. So if that speaks to you, check that out. It's on my website, and I've got, programs, coaching app, all that kind of stuff.
Wonderful. And again, we'll be sure to put all those links in today's show notes so you guys can easily access them. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Resonant Media production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.